I'll never forget the night 3 of my neighbors' grown adults, mind you, stood on my porch in the middle of a rainstorm, gripping crowbars like they were auditioning for a low-budget mob flick. They stared me down, water streaming off their hoods, and Jack, the bulliest of them, spat through his teeth. Either you join Green Haven's HOA, or you'll wish you'd never set foot in Willow Creek. I had no idea then that the chaos they'd pulled me into would end up dismantling everything they'd built, and I'd be the one swinging the wrecking ball. When I first bought this old ranch, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. $400,000, my entire life's savings gone with a single signature. In return, I got 30 acres of overgrown grass, a crumbling barn, and a creaky house that reeked of wet dog. But it was mine. After years grinding away in IT, I craved real work sweat, calluses, something tangible. Willow Creek seemed like the kind of place where you could still wave to neighbors and leave your doors unlocked. For the most part, that was true except for 3, Jack Thompson, his sister Clara, and their bulldog of a cousin Nate. I tried to be friendly, even invited them for coffee my first week. They barely acknowledged me. Jack grunted, Clara flashed a tight-lipped smile, and Nate just loomed behind them, arms crossed like I was an intruder on my own land. I chalked it up to small-town cliques, figuring I'd win them over eventually. I threw myself into fixing the place, mending fences, clearing trash, hacking through blackberry thickets until my arms looked like I'd wrestled a wildcat. Some kind folks up the road stopped by with extra eggs or a quick hello. I was settling in, earning every inch of that land, and I was happy. Until the weirdness started. It began small. A gate I'd locked tight was swinging open the next morning. Tools left by my shed vanished. At first, I wondered if I was just exhausted, forgetting things. But then I caught Nate cutting across my back pasture one afternoon, striding like he owned it. When I waved, he didn't even pause. The next day, I found tire tracks behind my barn. Then, one rainy evening, someone stuffed a flyer in my mailbox and didn't stick around. It was from Green Haven's HOA, all caps, listing community standards and a not-so-subtle warning about legal consequences for non-members. I thought it was a prank. There was nothing about an HOA in my closing papers. I skimmed the flyer, tossed it, and figured ignoring it would make it go away. If only. Over the next week, things escalated from weird to outright hostile. Someone slashed my truck tire passenger side, just deep enough to blow out halfway to town. My mailbox was smashed to bits. My dog, Scout, started barking at night, hackles raised. Then came the phone call, no voice, just heavy breathing. It felt petty, but there was a pattern, and it pointed straight to those 3. I tried talking to other neighbors. Most avoided my eyes, muttering about staying out of it. But old Mrs. Larson, from 2 lots down, took pity on me. Over lemon cookies, she warned me plain as day. Jack and his crew had bullied half a dozen newcomers over the past decade. Most either joined the HOA or sold and left. Don't let them push you, dear, she said, pressing the cookies into my hands. They only win if you let them. Her advice didn't ease my nerves. I lay awake at night, running scenarios, my blood boiling at the thought of being strong-armed into some fake dictatorship. But losing everything, me savings, my chance at a real life, kept me up more. I started locking every door, installing motion lights, and rigging cheap Walmart security cameras. It was almost laughable how paranoid I'd become. Almost. The turning point came 2 weeks later. I just returned from the feed store, rain dripping off my hat, when I noticed muddy footprints on my porch. The front door lock was scratched, splintered around the edges. My stomach sank. I checked the cameras. Sure enough, in broad daylight, Jack and Nate had tried to force their way in. Jack's face was inches from the lens, a big mole on his cheek. Nate's hood snagged on a branch, revealing him clear as day. That night, they returned, and the camera caught Clara too, her glare icy, teeth bared. Something in me snapped. I wasn't scared anymore, I was furious. Done feeling like prey on my own land. I printed the footage, stuffed it in a folder, and drove to the office of Bennett and Klein, lawyers known countywide for shredding shady HOAs. Bennett reviewed my evidence, nodding quietly. He asked if I'd received odd bills or community dues. When I showed him the flyer, he grinned like a shark. This isn't just harassment, Sarah. It's extortion. Let's see how deep this goes. Deep was an understatement. Bennett's team dug through property records, contracts, county filings. They uncovered a nest of fraud. Jack, Clara, and Nate had set up Green Haven's HOA years ago, never officially registered it, and used it to line their pockets. They'd charged dues to anyone they could intimidate, fabricated violations, and worst of all, diverted water from non-members' land to their own fields by secretly rerouting irrigation lines. They were mafia in flannel shirts. I didn't just want to save myself, I wanted to torch their little empire. So, I started talking to neighbors, quietly, carefully. Most were wary at first, but when I showed them my footage and Bennett's paperwork, the dam broke. Over a dozen folks had been strong-armed by the trio over the years. Some paid, some left, a few fought but gave up, isolated. Not anymore. I wasn't backing down, and now neither were they. We organized a joint complaint, signed by every targeted neighbor, with testimonies and copies of fake bills. Bennett filed suit in county court. Fraud, harassment, theft, property damage, the works. I kept my head down, locked my doors, double-checked the cameras, and slept with a baseball bat under the bed. For weeks, it felt like living in a war zone. The day of the hearing, the courthouse was packed. Jack tried to look tough, arms crossed, jaw tight. Clara wore her best pearls, but her hands shook when she thought no one noticed. Nate just sweated through his shirt. As the judge read the charges, the room's mood shifted like someone had flipped on the lights in a roach-infested kitchen. Our lawyer called witnesses, showed videos, read emails, displayed maps of stolen water lines. Jack denied everything. Clara got shrill, accusing us of a conspiracy. Nate stared at the floor. I sat there, hands clenched, barely breathing. This was it, months of hell, sleepless nights, silent rage. Then the hammer dropped. The judge declared Green Haven's HOA illegal, disbanded immediately. Jack, Clara, and Nate were ordered to pay damages for every cent they'd stolen or destroyed, plus court costs, or risk losing their properties. The irrigation scam was exposed, and the county threatened criminal charges if they touched another water line. It was over, just like that. I didn't gloat. I just met Jack's eyes as he slumped in his chair, his world crumbling. Clara stormed out. Pearls askew, face streaked with tears. Nate was escorted out by a deputy, muttering about ungrateful neighbors. The courtroom emptied, whispers trailing them down the hall. Outside, the sky was clear for the first time in weeks. A quiet satisfaction settled over me, no fist pumping, no celebration, just the knowledge I'd stood my ground and won. My land was safe. The neighborhood, free of that petty dictatorship, felt bigger, lighter. I went home, walked the fence line, let Scout run wild in the grass, and didn't look back. For once, Willow Creek was exactly what I dreamed it could be, and I'd made damn sure it would stay that way.